this episode of the Awakening Women podcast. I'm your host, Leanne Oaten. And in this episode, I want to talk to you about thoughts and insights that I've had over the last 4 years of my journey of moving through a marriage ending, single parenting, and all that comes with that in the dating realm. And this is a conversation that I feel like isn't being had. There's a lot of talk out there about dating to marry, dating to find your husband, dating to have a family, and not enough of wise women who have been there and done that and don't want to do that again. But then they also want to have a partner, a person that they can go through life with, a true teammate, someone that adds value to their lives and that they can add value in reciprocity. And I find that there's not a lot of this wise woman angle. The wise, wild, fiery woman who has been hurt, who did give her all in a marriage that still didn't work out no matter how hard she tried and how much she put into it. Some women really become jaded and they decide that all men are the same and that all men are bad and they don't want to even bother. But I was listening to Alison Armstrong. She's brilliant. She is a researcher of men. Like that's kind of where her niche is she talks about and studies men. And so women can understand men. But she does talk about both. But I was listening to one of her seminars and she said 97%, I think that was the number, was 97 or 98%, maybe even 99. It was somewhere in there. She said 99% of men are good men. So that means that there is around 1 to 3%, because I can't remember the number, but it was in the high 90s, are good men. But they're men that have wounds, they're men that have baggage, there's men that are imperfect, just as there are women who are imperfect. So this really brings the conversation to a whole other level. If women are saying all men are shit, all men are this, all men are that, it's recognizing that if you keep choosing the same man with the same patterns and the same pain and wounding, that there's something for you to learn in that. And there's a difference between being with someone who has past baggage, because we're in our late 40s, going into 50s and beyond, and someone who's abusive and harmful and unhealthy. There's a big difference. But what I want to say is that creating a conscious relationship after raising a family, after having the long-term marriage, it's not the same thing. Women have to recognize you're not doing the same thing. When you're dealing with someone who has a past, who has their own kids and comes with their own things as you do, you're making a conscious choice. Mature love says, show me exactly who you are. I'm going to observe over years, at least 4 years, before I make any type of actual commitment. Show me who you are, baggage and all. Let me see who you are. I want to witness. And then I'll make a conscious decision if this is right for me to take that next step. But young and naive love says, I hope you change and I want to be the one to change you. You're a fixer-upper. So many of us have done that in our 20s, right? And we know that doesn't work because an unhealthy man is not going to change and you cannot change him. You cannot make an unhealthy man healthy. You're not that powerful. So midlife love is not blind. It's actually the first time you get to see things clearly because you've learned the lessons, hopefully, and you recognize he's not going to become a different man, right? He is who he is. He's going to be more honest version of the one standing in front of you, not a more inauthentic version. And we're not operating from a clean slate. And many women, I see this because I'm in a lot of forums and groups around like blending families and step family blending and how that all works with dating. I find it fascinating how many women just go into it blindly thinking it's going to be like the original family situation. Well, it's not, because nobody's going to love your kids the way you love them, and you're not going to love someone else's kids the way you love your own. It's not possible. It doesn't mean that you don't care about them or anything like that. It's not the same, but you are accepting someone with their whole package as they are you. So it does go both ways. But I have just seen a lot of women jumping into things thinking it's going to be wonderful and realizing it's the hardest possible thing to do is blend families. So I chose not to do that. I chose to have a different approach. And I really recommend that. I recommend midlife women who have kids that are with them majority of the time, that is really your main focus, is raising your children. Doesn't mean you can't have a love life or a romantic life, but your main job and your main focus and priority is your kids because they came first. And I really believe that with my whole heart. It's also recognizing that the grief of realizing that it's not the same kind of love the next time around when you've already done the family, you've done the marriage, and you don't want to do that again. There is some grief in that because you can never recreate what you have with someone that you are having children with. It's just not possible. It's different. It's always going to be different. And while, there's lots of different beautiful things that can happen within that, it will never be the same. And trying to make it feel the same is just going to cause suffering. It's not the same as the nuclear family, and it's just is what it is. It's a different. I see it as it's not emotionally driven, it's logic driven. You are now coming from wisdom and learning about someone with your eyes wide open, flaws and all. You know you have flaws, and you are making a conscious decision because you enhance each other's lives, and that person is enhancing yours. You're not fixing them up. You're not trying to rehabilitate someone. You're not, doing the whole build a man thing. No. So the difference is that you're accepting baggage, but you're not accepting any type of abuse or unhealthy behavior. That's a very important line to draw. And you need to have open conversations, that full disclosure conversations, lots of them. And over time, not in the first 6 months and moving in and putting your kids in a situation like that. I feel very strongly about that. I like to empower women, and I feel like you want to set yourself up for success when there's children involved. You want to make sure that you are minimizing any type of further harm that comes their way after a divorce and their family has already split up. And that doesn't mean that you have to be single, as I said, but I do believe there needs to be a conscious strategy around what you're doing. And expecting transformation from someone in their late 40s and 50s at midlife is a setup for resentment and failure. That doesn't mean you can't grow together. That doesn't mean I can't see, I've always done something this way, you've always done something that way. Who's going to give, or is there a middle way? That's not what I mean. Or learning how the other one likes to be addressed or spoken to, or one likes to be really clear and focused in on like the present, what's happening now, and one likes to go flying off into the vision, so you've got two people, one's more linear, one's more logical, one's more emotional, vision driven, which is the masculine, feminine. So there is that learning, but you have to have someone that wants to learn that. And as a conscious woman who has done the work, who's done the therapy, decades and decades of therapy and coaching and courses and books, I know that I need someone that is capable of that, of those kinds of level of conversations and that level of work. And so if that's you, then you know that you need the same. That doesn't mean it has to be someone that does personal growth and coaching and courses, but it needs to be someone who's willing to go there with you and be really honest with you too about what he wants differently this time. So it's a really beautiful thing because you've learned, hopefully, that there's things that you will not do again. And hopefully he knows that as well. And so then you come together with this honesty instead of these hidden expectations that are a setup for resentment. A lot of times women and people just throw in, do the blended thing and you're dealing with exes and you're trying to co-parent, you got finances and you've got kids with behavioral issues or different things that they've got going on, and you're trying to throw two sets of families together and hope and pray it's going to go well. Well, the statistics show that it's somewhere in like the 79% failure rate for blended families. And this is why, because you're just going to repeat the same thing with someone else. And now with more kids and complications and baggage in the mix. And imagine that. And then you're in this again and realizing, oh my God, this is a nightmare. And if you're with someone that is not all in and doing the work, it's going to be even more of a nightmare. There's certain ways that I believe that we do and do not step in a situation like that when it's not our own children. And I think people really get murky around that. Like, you can't just have someone coming in and deciding they're going to suddenly be the parent and the disciplinary in the home. That's just not how it works, and it won't work. You'll see that it won't. There will be a lot of clashing and a lot of fighting, and then you're in the middle of the triangulation of your kid and your new live-in daddy fighting, and you're in the middle, and he's saying you can't just baby him or her, you can't take his, we have to be a united front, and your kid's going, why is he such an asshole? And so I don't recommend that at all. There's another way to do it that keeps your sanity intact, it keeps your sovereignty intact and your independence intact. I have so much that I can share around this and help you with if this is where you're at, or maybe you're in this scenario and you're like, geez, what do I do now? So get in touch with me on Instagram, Awakening Women Official, to chat about working together, because this is the work I do with women. I help you from that decision phase of leaving to rebuilding on the other side and everything in between that comes up, because let me tell you, a lot comes up. And so having that support as you navigate is so crucial. It's grieving that young love fantasy so you can step into a real adult partnership with two adults, but you want to make sure you're dealing with a real adult, and that takes time. I have been saying that it's around that 4-year mark of spending a lot of time with somebody in a lot of different scenarios, doing travel, dealing with crises and stressors and things not going your way, or last minute things that come up that are out of the norm, things off schedule, plans changing. And I say a renovation, like, go through as many things as you can and watch what patterns keep coming up. The patterns meaning the things you keep bumping up against, because it's going to happen in every relationship. And you have to decide if those things are something that you can both work on, both, because you're not setting yourself up for another build a man project, right? So that intentional love, that second chapter love, is different. It's more intentional. It's more logical. It's not the fantasy. It's, are we compatible to create something really cool together? Because I'm not looking for a baby daddy. I'm not looking for a husband. I've raised my daughters, my son. They are all young adults. I did the greatest accomplishment I think that there is to be a mama and raise children. And I've done that. And I'm not looking to be, a stepmother in the sense of being in somebody else's kid's business. Whereas a lot of women go into it and they're like, I want to be the mother and step in and do the thing, and wonder why the kid's not enjoying that or not liking that. Like, ick, right? So how do you do it without that ick? How do you do this without creating an absolute disaster for yourself? And I'm here to help women look out for themselves, because we have not done enough of that. Women have not been looking out for themselves enough, and they get wrapped into this lovely feeling of love and a new fresh start, and they don't really see what they're setting themselves up for. And dating at midlife, dating after divorce, dating after raising a family is not the same as when we're dating in our 20s and we don't have this life experience under our belt. And it needs to be done intentionally. It's intentionally vetting a man and observing and witnessing what are the core consistent characteristics that you're seeing, positive or negative, because you want to make the best decision. And that doesn't always mean that a decision means forever either. You make the best decision with the information that you have that feels like the right next thing. And if you mischoose or that doesn't work, then you choose again. But what you can't get back is time with your children. What you can't get back is mistakes made where you put your children in something that is not good for them, because it all goes to shit because you jumped into something without a conscious plan, without really seeing clearly, without negotiations, without meetings, without really being full disclosure conversations many, many, many times over and over again. Lots of honest conversations about what you want, what you don't want, what you will never do again. Both need to be doing that. And too many people don't bother to do that for the first several years and jump into things too quickly. And while sometimes those things can be the exception and turn out lovely and beautifully like the Brady Bunch, my honest take is that most times it does not. And it's just very stressful, and you're just putting yourself back into another stressful scenario, but this time with a lot more complication and a lot more moving pieces, with two people with a lot of more history coming in. So be wise, live awake, make your decisions from that awakened place, and don't back down. Be really, really clear on what it is that you need. And this is what I help women with. So if you're in this place, get in touch with me. We can talk about what that would look like to work together and make decisions from that conscious place, from the awakened state, not from wounds, not from desperation, not from lack mentality, but from abundance. And also, as I've said this many times, I really don't recommend that women blend. And so that might leave you going, okay, so then what do I do? Well, this is where the nuance comes in. Because does that mean you should never do it ever? Maybe, maybe not. It really would depend on the case by case scenario, your children, your situation, the type of relationship you have. If you have a man you can talk to about anything and it stays adult and he has a head on his shoulders and he's got stability and he brings calm and he brings consistency, and maybe so, maybe it would. But I think that's the exception, not the rule. And so you need to do this with eyes wide open when it comes to midlife dating, when you've already been married and you have children. So maybe this was something you needed today, a bit of a tough love wake-up call if you are dating or thinking about dating, or you're in a relationship after marriage and divorce, and maybe you're experiencing some of this kind of residual stuff going on when you've already blended, you've already moved in, and you feel kind of like you're hooked in, and you got kids, and you're like, now what? And I really hope that you're not in a toxic situation or with another gaslighter or an unhealthy man. I really hope that's not the case, but maybe you are just dealing with some things coming up and patterns that you're not really sure what to do with, clashing around parenting styles, clashing around what you need and what he needs, and what he's not willing to give and what you're not willing to give, like that kind of thing, and really standing in your needs and not knowing what boundaries to set around that. That's what I can help you with. And this is obviously a big conversation, but it's something I really feel passionately about because I am obsessed with empowering women, and making you feel empowered in whatever decision you make is what I love to do. I love to see that spark come back of, there I am. And I have to say, for me, it kind of got snuffed out over the last few years of just really dealing with a lot of different things. And I have felt my spark coming back, my creative spark, this sense of like lightness and freedom is my word right now. It's this sense of freedom. I have options. I absolutely have gone through the depths of grief of my daughters growing up and moving home, and so much anxiety around that, and worry about them, and anxiety and worry and my God, like so much of that. But I'm at a place now where I've done so much work on myself and so much grieving and release work that I'm at a place where I'm not saying I'm over that yet, and it's not going to keep coming back and forth and rising up, because it is a grief process for many of us. But I feel this sense of freedom that I don't know that I've ever had, because I know no matter what I choose, I've got me. Like, I'm okay. That I am good. I've set myself up that I am good no matter what I do. And that is what I want for every woman. And that's what I help women with my one-on-one. So, if you are in a place where you need to restart a business, resuscitate a business, change a business, start one from scratch, this is something that I am helping a handful of women do, because I feel so strongly about a woman having her own way. If you have a career and a stable career, all that, that's great too, of course. But there's something about having your own business that is your asset. There is no ceiling to what you can do, and you get to do what you need to do. It has afforded me so much that I really couldn't even begin to list out all the ways that this has been an absolute lifesaver, even in the darkest depths of some of the hardest times. Because I had this business and the income level I built, it carried me through some really dark times. And I want that for every woman. And then for you to have that asset, no matter what you do, no matter who you're dating or who you do decide to be in a relationship with, you have that business asset, and that you never give any rights to a new person to what you have built. Like, there's so much to talk about here, but I really feel passionate about women having their own financial shit together. And that is especially important in midlife. And so if that's something that you are wanting to do as well, that is what I do in the private coaching. It's the whole woman coaching. So we go into wherever you're at with your relationship, and maybe you're looking at the business and you want some mentorship around that. I coach the whole woman, and it's very transformational. When women work with me privately, they have exponential shifts within the very first session, the initial session. Because I have a lot of experience with this, 13 plus years working and counseling and coaching women. And I know what I'm doing, and I know what women are experiencing. And I have a very deep intuition when it comes to working with clients. And I'm very good at seeing patterns and the root of the issue, like the root of the root. And then we shift it there. And there's so much power in that, because it saves you years of just fumbling and trying to figure it out yourself. But having a powerful mentor in your corner that's experienced, that knows what she's doing, is a lifesaver. It's a game changer. Can get on the wait list. And then when I have some spots opening up in the fall, then I can reach out to you. That's another way to go about it. All right. So I will chat with you in the next episode. Bye for now.